This is the Clifton 9, and it looks a lot like the Clifton 8. But make no mistake, this is a very different shoe. Yo, what's going on everybody? My name is Kobuzi, and today I want to talk to you guys about the brand new Clifton 9. But before I give you my thoughts on this shoe, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes that Hoka gave me for the purpose of review, so I did not have to pay for these shoes. However, they're not paying me to make this video or to use the shoe, and they're not going to get a chance to preview any of my footage or my thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with that disclosure out of the way, let's talk about the Hoka Clifton 9. First, let's go over some specs on this shoe. The big story is there's a brand new midsole foam. It's still compression molded EVA, but it is a changed formulation to make it lighter and springier. So what they've done is they've been able to keep the same drop, but add a few millimeters of stack height to the shoe, and yet they're still coming in at a lighter overall weight, 8.7 ounces or 246 grams this year, which is about 0.2 ounces lighter than last year. On the outsole, we also see some changes here, and we can compare like the outsole to the Clifton 8. This is my wife's Clifton 8 that I did buy this one myself for her. And so it's a very similar looking pattern, but what they're doing is they're continually trying to tinker with the outsole pattern and how they're protecting their foams so they can continue to provide great traction and enhance durability of their shoes. On top, we have an engineered mesh that looks very similar to last year, although we do have a couple of changes. One of the things, it feels like they made the tongue just a little bit less puffy, which I always think is a good decision, but it seems like all that like padding from the tongue moves straight back to this already big kind of weird like Achilles flare, heel tab, pull tab kind of thing that they've got going. And the other thing that they did was it's still a gusseted tongue, but only on the medial side. They've removed the gusset from the outer part or the lateral side of the shoe. So it's gusseted, but only on the one side. In terms of the shaping of that midsole, we still got that early stage meta rocker, which is that curling of the shoe that kind of makes it feel like as you're walking, you're kind of stepping over the edge of a stair and kind of like falling down the step. And that helps pick up the back of the heel and get your foot rolling into that next stride. And the one other little thing that's changed now is this is the first Hoka shoe that I've seen kind of in a while that doesn't have like numbers printed on the side. For example, if I take a look at this Speed Goat 5, you see that there's numbers printed on the side right here. And that was a couple of things that Hoka used to put on all of their shoes where it would talk about like the toe spring and the volume of the foam that you were getting. I never really could kind of discern or figure out what those numbers really meant to me. And I'm guessing that's what's happening with a lot of their other customers as well, because on the Clifton 9, it doesn't look like it's anywhere to be found at all. Now let's get into what it was actually like to run in the shoe. Now the first time I got a chance to run in the shoe was actually down on a trip that I went on in Miami. I got a pair of the Clifton 9s when I got down there and took them out for a Take the Bridge event, running an unsanctioned night race through the streets of Miami, running at about what ended up being somewhere between like a little bit slower than marathon effort to sometimes up to threshold effort, which isn't exactly where you would normally put a Clifton 9 because this is pretty much your standard daily trainer type of shoe. But this new foam that was in here made me forget that I was running in a Clifton. I really like what they're doing with this compression molded EVA. Now I know a lot of you guys have been saying for years that compression molded EVA is kind of like a antiquated technology and that Hoka really needs to move on from that. And in part, I agree with you guys, especially when it comes to their racing shoes. But there are certain places where I think people can still do really good things with EVA, and Hoka is proving that here, I think, with the new Clifton 9. I feel like you're getting that modern Clifton ride that Hoka has really kind of like dialed into in the last several versions of this shoe, but there's an extra springiness to it, a lightness to it, an airiness to it that makes it really fun to run at faster paces. And this foam had a bounciness to it that really had me double checking and triple checking that yes, this shoe is a compression molded EVA foam and not either kind of like a two foam type of midsole system where there's a spongier, squishier layer of supercritical EVA on top. or if it was a entirely supercritical layer of midsole foam. It kind of gave me that sensation where it just feels lighter than EVA normally feels. It felt springier than EVA normally feels, so it felt really good when I needed it to absorb impact on my recovery runs, but also could rise to the occasion if I needed to take it on some faster paced workouts. And so overall, it feels like it's the same Clifton as last year, except like Hoka's given it like a new gear so it can get up to some of those workout paces a lot easier than I felt like last year's Clifton could do, because I felt like some of the compression molded EVA in the Clifton 8 kind of left it in that kind of like daily training, easy run. This year for the Clifton 9, if you wanted a shoe that could do both your easy days, your recovery runs, and a little bit of your workouts, I think that the Clifton 9 now is up to the task. Going to the upper, I feel like it feels really airy and lightweight. Sometimes Hoka sizing can be a little bit iffy, and sometimes I get a size 9, sometimes I get a size 9.5. I went with my normal size 9 with the Clifton 9, and it ended up being just right. I felt like this shoe's sizing is really dialed in. I just enjoy the changes to the upper. They're very subtle, but I also enjoyed the upper in Clifton 8 as well. So I'm glad to see that there weren't too many changes in that regard, because the shoe already fit really well for me. All right, now let's get to some of my summary points to wrap up this video. I think that the Hoka Clifton 9 is gonna be best for your daily training. It's still a daily trainer, and the new midsole foam doesn't change that, but it does have kind of that extra gear in it now. So if you do want a shoe that you're looking at for recovery runs and a couple of workouts, I think that this shoe is definitely going to be able to handle all of that. And if you're looking for shoes to pair with, maybe you're looking for a racer, I think that the Carbon X2, which is not EVA foam, this is a PIBA midsole foam with a carbon fiber plate. I feel like this is gonna be a really great race shoe to be able to wear and have the Clifton 9 as your daily trainer. But let's say your racing needs are not necessarily on the road, but you're on the trail, I'd say go with the Speedgoat 5. You don't even have to necessarily race with the Speedgoat 5. It's just a fun trail shoe to bring out on a lot of different occasions. And I feel like having both of these would make for a lot of fun running. Now, let's say you're not convinced on the Clifton 9 and you want to think about some alternatives. I think in the Hoka family, they have a couple of other really good options. One being the Mach 5, one of my favorite shoes from last year. This uses a ProFly dual midsole foam type of system where you've got that squishier layer up top and then that EVA, a rubberized EVA layer on the bottom, so they don't have to use any rubber outsole at all. This was one of my favorite shoes from last year. A lot of fun to run in. I feel like it's a very speedy shoe, one that really does like to pick up the pace. So if you do have more workout needs than you have recovery shoe needs, this might be one to consider. And then the other shoe that I think is also worth considering is the Nova Blast 3, which was my favorite daily trainer of last year. Again, this is a shoe that can kind of do it all, easy runs, recovery runs, and also pick up the pace. Another shoe that you should be considering if you're looking at the Clifton 9. Now, based on all that, let's take a look at the buying recommendations for this shoe. The shoe isn't out yet, but it's gonna be coming out really soon, and it's gonna be retail at $145, which feels like the price has been going up on this shoe over the last couple of years. And I'm not saying that this shoe's not worth it, but pairs of the Clifton 8, some are still available in a lot of sizes. It's on sale for like $112. So I feel like at this point in the year, this video is coming out in middle of February. I feel like go ahead, if you need another pair of Cliftons, get a Clifton 8 on sale at like $112. And then later in the summer, when you're ready for yet another Clifton, then get the Clifton 9 at the $145. And I think that you're gonna have a really fun summer of running. So those are my thoughts on the brand new Hoka Clifton 9. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions, or better yet, stop by the live stream that I do Monday through Friday right here on YouTube. I'd love to see you guys in the chat. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?